I know it's still technically summer and this dish is usually served in winter, but it's getting cold out here, folks. As soon as the temperature dropped, I started craving a comfort food classic. Good old homemade shepherd's pie. One of the best dinners out there for a cold night. Let's rock. What's happening, folks? We'll start things off by prepping the veg. For the veg, I finally diced 2 sticks of celery, 2 small onions and grated 1 large carrot. This whole pie will be enough for 4 nice servings. Now I've seen some recipes not use some celery, but my man never left it out when she made her shepherd's pie, so I'm not leaving it out either. You could, if you wanted to, grate all the vegetables into the meat. Seen that done plenty of times, but personally I like to taste the chunks of celery and onion that I've cut. Same goes with the carrot, you don't have to grate it. If you'd rather in chunks, go ahead. As always when prepping your veg, make sure you have a little bowl or a container on the side. You can empty all the skin and the food waste into it. It makes life so much easier. The onion and especially the carrot are the veg that you can't skip out of this dish. The carrot brings a lovely sweetness to the meat. After the veg is prepped, we'll start to brown off the meat. For the shepherd's pie, you want to use lamb. I use lamb mince that was 20% fat. Now some people mix up or make the mistake and use beef, then call it a shepherd's pie. If you do use beef, that's a cottage pie. If you do prefer beef and you don't like lamb, still stick around for this video and just use the same ingredients. That's the only difference is the meat. Personally I prefer lamb as it has a stronger flavour, but it is more expensive. So bear that in mind when you're making your pie and pick wherever you prefer on the day. Season the meat with some salt and pepper, then begin to break it down and brown off the mince on medium to high heat. After a few minutes, add in your veg and 3 cloves of garlic. I've said it before and I'll say it again, get a garlic crusher. You don't even have to peel the garlic, you just whack her in and press it. Save so much time and hassle, get onto it. Make sure you break down the mince as fine as you can. If you have to use a potato masher, go ahead. Just keep pressing it down till it's a nice fine mince, no big chunks. While your meat is cooking away, finely chop 1 to 2 sprigs of fresh rosemary and if you have it, some fresh thyme. If not, using the dry versions of these herbs will be fine, but remember, fresh is always better. Add the herbs to the mince, along with a few dashes of Worcestershire sauce and a big tablespoon of tomato puree. By now your mince should have a nice colour and a nice build-up of fond around the pot. And we're going to scrape that up with a few splashes of red wine. When the wine is absorbed and the alcohol is cooked off, it's time to add some chicken stock. I use around 200ml. You just want enough to cover the meat. Let it boil away on high heat for around 3 minutes. Then turn it down to low heat, let it simmer away and reduce. Don't worry, have a bit of patience. It may seem that it's not going to thicken up, but trust me it will. It just requires a bit of time. This is the consistency you want before you start laying it out on the tray. As you can see, the chicken stock has absorbed all the way into it. Same with the red wine. It's perfect. Not too watery, because too watery it won't set properly. Now always give it a little taste. See if you need to add anything else. You won't need to add any more salt because the chicken stock is salty enough. I went ahead. I feel like I need to add some more pepper. And I want mine a bit more garlicky, so I added some more. We added some garlic salt and some onion powder. Now it's up to you. If you feel like yours is seasoned perfectly, you don't need to add anything. Just make sure you taste it first, because there's nothing worse than having under seasoned meat. As I said, but just avoid no salt because there's already enough salt in it. Yep, that's perfect for me. Yep. Add some frozen peas, give all a good mix and lay it out onto the baking tray. Spread it all out even and flat. And the key to having a nice pie that sets well is letting the meat cool completely before you add your mash. I've made this mistake so many times in the past. Thought it's been efficient having the mash on the side, cooking, same with the mince and bringing it all together, and our pie doesn't set properly. Don't get me wrong, it was still delicious, all the flavours are amazing, but it's just watery and it is a pie after all, so a pie should be setting properly. If you're new to the channel and enjoying the content, folks, want to drop a like and subscribe, it's much appreciated. We finally reached 1,000 subs. Get up! Love yous all, stay nasty. While the meat is cooling down, start prepping the mash. I use 500 to 600 grams of mashed potatoes, the top off this pie. I just used classic British potatoes, that's what had me covered. But if you have Yukon Gold or King Edward potatoes, they're the best for mashing. Peel and cut them into equal sized chunks for even cooking. When making mash, always make sure to use cold salted water and not boiling water, as using cold water will give it a smoother texture and cook more even. These will take around 20 minutes to become fork tender, and while they're boiling, preheat your oven to 170. Try your best not to forget to preheat your oven. There's nothing worse when you finish the pie, pour it in, the oven's cold, you're just adding on an extra 15-20 minutes. Time to finish off the mash now, so add a pinch of salt and a few cracks of black pepper, and gradually add some milk and butter. Make sure to not add too much milk or butter, as that's another way to ruin your pie, as it won't set properly. As a mash, if it's too watery or too moist, it will just leak into the meat. Grate 30 grams of cheese and add 1 egg yolk to bring it all together, and mix until you have soft, fluffy mash. If you feel like you need to add a bit more milk and butter, go ahead. Just remember, soft and fluffy texture and not too moist. Spread out the mash evenly on top of the cooled down meat and grate some more cheese on top. Fork the top of the mash like this to make some extra crispy bits. You can add a nice design of lions, swirls, or just do what I did, or just randomly fork it, get some crispy bits. It doesn't have to be too pretty, don't worry. Add it to the preheated oven and bake for around 40 minutes or until golden brown on top. Also, put it on a baking tray in case some of it spills over. When you take it out of the oven, the top of your pie should look like this. Now let this rest for a couple of minutes. Like lasagna, you always want to take it out of the oven and let it rest. You don't want to cut into it straight away, as the slices won't set properly. They'll just go everywhere. So just give it a few minutes to cool down and set properly. You'll get a perfect slice just like that. Now if you have any leftover wine from the cooking, do whatever you want with that. Just don't let that go to waste. And make sure you give yourself the best and most crispiest slice. Now it does take a bit of time and effort to make this, but it is so worth it. But if you are in a rush and you do need something tasty and quick to cook for dinner, I think you'll like this recipe just right here. And yeah, suppose that's that, isn't it? Tops. Don't forget to stay nasty, folks.